Yep, your recording's good. Thanks.
Oh.
Still got another minute or two though. So
I couldn't find the record button down here where it was when I practiced all day yesterday.
It's okay. You're recording.
Okay. Well, and we are at 1:59, so I think I can let them edit whatever they want out. All right, so I can go into present mode. I hope.
Looks good.
All right. And
Give it another minute though. The other sessions are wrapping up. So
okay,
more people should be joining us here momentarily.
great. Oh,
Thank
I've got a few people. 23. Great. Welcome to those of you who are showing up a little bit early. I'm going to give another minute or two to let people move from one session to another, and we'll be starting. Okay. Now, are you seeing me stroke my goatee and everything too? I shouldn't be doing that.
All righty, Jerome. I think you're good to go. We got 42 participants and it's 2:01.
All right, let's do this. So I want to just make sure that all of you are noticing here that it's really important that you not turn your audio or video on. They are turned off on purpose, and I'm easily distracted, so that might be a good thing to do. And then if I go to the next slide, I have started the recording, and I want to let you know that San Jose State University, one of my alma maters, happens to be a founding partner in this wonderful conference. So don't start copying all of this stuff. You'll see this later. In fact, just copy this, bit.ly bit.ly/GLT, that's short for Google Lit Trips, GLT intro slide, and that will actually share this whole deck with you, and you'll see these here. You'll also see them elsewhere as we proceed. So I'm going to escape from this. That's my whole slideshow. Everything else is going to be live. All right. So we're going to start. We're going to start jumping right in to see what the heck a virtual literary field trip looks like by having the experience. So I'm going to go to Google Earth, free, and here's Google Earth, and it's popping up. And I'll be sort of letting you know some of the many virtual advantages that Google Earth provides. So there is a chat stream going. I'm a little concerned about trying to get everything I want to show you in time, and so I'm not seeing the chat stream. And I will be inviting you to, I will be saving it, but I will be inviting you to contact me by email or some other way if you want to talk directly about questions that you may have had. So here we go. I just opened Google Earth. I'll show you the first virtual feature. Is that looks like any map I've seen hanging from the walls in my high school when I graduated in 1906. And they did their job. In Google Earth, we can go in here and choose map styles. And I like to ask people, if you want to really feel the virtual nature, just go custom and don't choose anything. Now you have a blank earth. Okay. And then we're going to go back over here to my projects, and we're going to take a look at this Google Lit Trip. These are several. By the way, Google is not a Google product. They are very happy with my project, but they allow me to use the word Google. But we are actually a incorporated non-educational nonprofit. So we try to stick to lit trips for books commonly taught in K-12, and one of them is one called Fever 1793. And we're going to take a quick look at this one. And most Google Lit trips start with a nice, like a book cover, beautiful picture illustrating what's going on. There was a tremendous fever in 1793. And this sort of says, everybody's getting really sick and they didn't know what to do about it. But this basically says, the book was written by Laurie Halsey Anderson, and it was developed by Mark Moran, who's a technology specialist. So I'm going to, what is this? That live transcription be enabled? I don't know what that is.
I'll take care of that. We're going to turn it on. I'm the moderator.
Should I? Oh, thank you. Teresa,
I will take care of it.
Should I turn that off now? Should I decline it to get it off the screen? Because
You should enable it.
Oh, I should enable it. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now I'm going to move this thing too, because that's in the way too. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go to present. And this is sort of the opening slide. And you'll see down here, it's going to move through it just like we move through a PowerPoint presentation. We always have a start like this that is kind of an engaging graphic of some sort, and a bit of a correct, mention of the developer. We click and notice what happens. We start flying into some location, and we're looking at some crazy map. And we always have about this Google Lit Trip being the very next slide. And one of the things I want to point out to you is this is Google Earth, and it will look very different as we go through this example. This is called the gallery, and in this text area, we can do whatever we want, including add links. And I'm a big fan of tying informational reading to literary reading. And so people could click on this and suddenly they find themselves out at Laurie Anderson's About Laurie Anderson page. So that's what's going on there. And now I have to go back to Zoom, I guess. Am I back? I'm sharing? No? Uh-oh, I've already done it. How do I get back to Zoom? Share.
Jerome, what are you trying to do?
I want to get back to Google Earth. Oh, I can just do it. Okay. Okay. Sorry about this. I'm only nervous. All right. So that's one main feature. Down here, I'm going to go to the next slide. And what I'd like you to do as we move from slide to slide is watch this area. We have zoomed into a portion of Philadelphia where this fever business started. And now what we just saw was we fly from one place mark to the next. And after a while, it kind of gets us feeling like we are following the characters as they move through the story. In this particular place mark, I didn't want to use the gallery, but you didn't know that until I told you that. What it does is it makes it very invisible. And then I'm going to go watch this flight. And you can see now that you've moved from that direction to another direction, another place mark. And what I have here is the London Coffee House as it would look in the textbook, because this really did happen, and this fever did happen in a real place. And this is that very same corner as it looks today. You also may notice here that it has multiple pieces of media in the gallery. And here comes another, that was sort of the second virtual feature, but even a better one is I can click on this. Oh, and now I can really read what that sign says that's right outside of the actual building. That's there today. So we're putting the students who are reading their book outside and using this as a supplementary resource, we're putting them in the story as frequently as possible. When I did this, I tried to organize the view here to sort of match the view here. And so we get a then and now sort of experience. So over here, we can see, I'm not going to click every one of these links, but this is another informational reading link that tells you about the London Coffee House as it existed. I apologize for looking down. I'm sure you can see me doing this, but I want to make sure I touch all my notes here. And I'm going to click and do a flyby. Means we're not going to stop very long on this next one. But see that? We're just moving. Oh, we were way out here. And then we just flew back here to get a look at Market Street. Again, hoping to have participants using this to get the sense I'm moving along with the story. And, oops, excuse me. So, pardon me. So I'm now down on London Coffee House. We're going to go to the next slide, which is slide 6 down here. And now I'm getting ready to give you really a very cool view. This is the house that George Washington lived in after he left the presidency. And you'll see, you can even look here. If you'll notice here, there's a window, a door, and 2 windows. And you can see, yeah, that's exactly how it was when it didn't get destroyed or didn't fall apart or whatever. And so we are here in the real world. And I like to make sure that students often feel it is real. It's not some dry story that I read about because it happened before I paid attention to anything. I could go here and be in that space that I just read about in that section of the story. Now, this is another virtual thing that I really, really like. So watch this special one. I'm going to go to slide 7. Oh, I want to see that again. This is Google Earth, and Google Earth slips into Street View. Yes, these are real people in my day, in my time, in my space, in my world, and I can even drag the screen around and see what else is going on right now. Well, not right now, really, but in Street View in contemporary times. Oh my goodness, they were protesting. Imagine that. Okay, so we were then looking at the Pennsylvania State House. And again, you can see as you look at it in the Street View, same manner, the building is still there. This is not ancient history. This is current history in our time as well. So now I'm going to scoot over and show you something else. We've been going through the slides sort of in this fashion. I could go over here and say, well, you know what, for this demonstration, I don't have the time. So I'm going to say, let's just jump down to talk about Dr. Benjamin Rush's house. So we can go anytime, we can move around in the order we want. Now, this house is no longer here, but his garden sort of space is there. And we can then look at this. This is there at that site. And now, surprise, actually we can watch a video from right inside the Google Lit Trip. Now, the doctors and the cures. In 1793, kind of like a couple of years ago, they were suffering an illness. They had no idea what it was. They didn't know how to treat it. And they were trying all kinds of crazy cures. And it's remarkable how it kind of starts reminding us of our very own times right now. I think that'll no, just show you a minute or two of this.
Jerome, can you make sure the audio is on for the segment that you're showing?
So I know that we remember there was all kinds of cures and some very bizarre ones. But what was happening then, that's also kind of reminiscent of what we've just gone through, as old school medicine was kind of stubborn. New school medicine was trying to push some new ideas as to what might actually work. And it was frustrating. So we have the science versus maybe not so science oriented people. We're in a behind the scenes sort of battle on how to treat. So what I'm going to do now, I hope, is what am I going to do now? I'm going to quit this, and I'm going to go back over and do another jump, actually, to the last piece of the can you feel it? Well, actually, I'm not. I'm going to go to Peel House, because this book is fascinating to me because of its parallels to COVID, our COVID experience, the unknown illness, the unknown treatments, the massive numbers of deaths, and the fear that people had. George Washington, since it first started in Philadelphia, George Washington, got out of town because he didn't want to be there and catch it, but people were catching it, and that became sort of a pattern. Get away from it. Get away from it. And of course, the people in the towns where they were going, they were afraid to have them come and show up. It's like, wait a minute, don't come here. You just came from Philadelphia. We don't want that disease coming to us. And so it was so reminiscent. It's an echo uh, of past history and absolutely current in the student's very own lifetime experiences. Now, I haven't talked much about what the text is over here. Frequently, it's the kids are reading through the book and they get to these places, all 20 of them or 30 of them, as you see. It's quite a long list that we didn't look at. They are reading along, and their teachers may be assigning, well, I want you to read chapters 1, 2, and 3. And these place marks are all arranged in the order of the reading of the story. This lit trip was developed quite a few years ago by Mark Moran. And besides establishing where we are in the story here, we like to have discussion starters. I like to call them discussion starters because it's not about let me catch you to see if you actually did do last night's reading. It's here's something we can talk about or think about, as in why am I reading this book? What's it got to do with anything I care about? And I like to focus discussion starters. Look at what Mark came up with long before COVID. In Fever 1793, the Pill family closed up their house and cut themselves off from the outside world until the fever passed. They ate their own food and even some of the animal specimens from their museum. This appears them in their museum, I think. And oops, let me go back there. And his discussion starter, gee, what do you think it would be like to have to stay in your house with your family for several months without going outside? Oh my God. It is the story that pretty much every student, this particular tip is made for middle school, designed sort of for middle schoolers. And yeah, in your world, not the first time. And can you imagine? I never could have until COVID. All right. So I'm going to now switch over to, if I can move this, I hope. I'm going to close this. I hope that doesn't. I'm now going to go off to my resource pages. There's a link to this on that first slide. So if you want to download that first slide, you'll see this. Here's contact information for me. Please only use my cell phone number for messages only, because I screen all my calls, and I hope I don't get way too many. Now, on that website, oh, I'm so sorry. Let's go back. On this website up here, this is another story that's very popular. This is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This happens to be on the front page of my website, and it too is an abbreviated preview. So you could actually click on this. I'm not going to, because I think I have to be done in 4 minutes, and that will take you to another one besides this one you've just kind of got a little bit of a look at. This shows you a list of basically the K5, 6, 8, and 9, 12 titles that we have available. And so you could find your grade level in whatever you are interested in pursuing there. I'm currently working on one for the Crucible and the Alchemist. And here again are all those links. This will get you to Google Earth. That's where we started. This will get you to my website. We're going to go there in a second. And this is pretty important, because if we don't get through what's on the website, this will give you step by step on how to, I'll go to the website while I finish that comment. This will get you step by step on how to request and view one of those lit trips that I just showed you. So on this website, there is a member registration, which will make it a lot easier for you to request. And we have sections that will show you what we have available for K-12, just to read about it by clicking on any one you want. Okay. And you can do the same thing for the other grade levels. And then we have the store. Now, I call it a store, but we give it all away for free. You want it, you can have it. And what you would wind up doing is you would enter your registered email address, okay, and you would confirm that. That's my personal one. You're welcome to know how to get a hold of me personally. And you'd come over here and just say which one you want of all those ones that were listed. Oh, I want number of the stars, perhaps. And if you don't see anything, if you haven't seen anything that you would like to see a Google Lit Trip developed for, you could suggest a new title here. Now, we are a very small nonprofit, and we have a long list of suggested titles, but I tend to choose what to work on next by the titles that have the most requests. Okay. All right. So, gosh, I think I came in at 224. I suppose, let me check this. Let's see. You can't speak to me because you're all, yes, let me, can you put link in the chat, please? What, I'm not sure what link you want, but all the,
Maybe they mean the link to the website, or
okay,
I'm sure the person
sure.
requesting the link can specify in the chat.
Sure. HTTPS www Google lit, I capitalize these just because it makes it easier to see, .org. Did that go?
I don't think it's showing up in the chat.
Uh-oh. Why is it not? Oh, oh, I'm just learning this. Okay, there it is, HTTPS. Okay. You know, I'll be, if anybody wants to type in a question real fast, I do have like 4 minutes. We are at the time now where people may be wanting to scoot off to the closing presentation. So I hope that this has kind of intrigued you a bit. Google Lit Trips actually, they put the kid right there. They put that right there looking in the same direction as the travelers are. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, Ryan Ramirez. Oh, good old Ryman. Ryan, that's a former high school student of mine.
Oh, someone has asked whether you are only working with books in English.
Currently, yes. I'm hoping that Google Lit Trips, Google Earth eventually develops an in-house translation process. But right now they're all in English, although they're all over the world. I have one set in Russia, but it's for a story by Gogol, but it's written in English. The version I use was written in English. Yes. Other questions? Just in case you're on your way out the door, I am very grateful that you were interested in watching this. And my email is open. I'm a retired English teacher. So all I do with my life is play with my grandkids and help teachers that are still fighting the good fight. So my email address, easy one, is Jerome Burg at googlelittrips.org. And, you know, I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Okay? And I'll just hang out until it gets to 2:30, just in case anybody else does. You're all very welcome, and I'm very honored to have had you here. So I'll just wait, and then I'll shift over to the closing speech myself. So thank you. I will have access, by the way, to the whole chat list, and I will go through that myself and see if I can post somewhere just general answers to some of the questions. One of my favorite YA books. Oh, which title was that? Was that the Fever book or the Percy book or one of the others 50 or 60 titles? Ah, yes. I had never read it until Mark Moran, who a lot of these are, about half of them I developed, and the other half are developed by other educators. And when Mark got a hold of me, said, "Gee, would you mind if I create one for you?" I started reading it and just became fascinated. What an incredible book that is. Oh, wonderful. Adult book clubs, yes. I do certainly make it available to anybody. I don't restrict you to being an educator or a student. I do it for educators and students, but there are a lot of book clubs that use it, a lot of online schools, teachers that use it, a lot of parents use it. It's really popular with parents who have maybe perhaps struggling kids, and you're very welcome, Maureen. Struggling readers or reluctant readers, and a lot of parents have let me know that it's very helpful because they can be reading the books with their own children, and they can be walking through the lit trip. Even if the teacher doesn't use lit trips, the parents can use it to support a book that may be assigned. Thank you. I'm very moved by your interest. And again, I'll get back to as many people as I can. You can get back to me right away, although I don't know how many questions I'll get. I'll answer them as quickly as I can. So thank you again. And you're on the front lines of the most honorable profession of all. And I appreciate that for you. Okay. I have actually dedicated it to Mr. Ferdy K., my own high school senior English teacher, who gave us a real experience by taking us to see Bob Dylan in 1900 in Berkeley, California. Turned me on to poetry.
Thank you so much, Jerome. It's 2:31, so
Okay.
I think you can stop the recording and end the session.
Now, where do I stop the recording? Over here, maybe?
If you just leave
Stop
the
recording.
session, it will stop the recording at the same time.
Okay.
So just end the meeting for everybody.
Okay. And end the meeting for everybody.
Yes. So thank you.
How do I end the meeting?
Okay, if you go to the bottom of, so right hand bottom, there should be a big red button.
Ah, there it is.
It says leave or end or something like that.
Got it. Thank you so much for your
Okay.
help, Teresa.
No problem.